All right, let's talk a little bit about our showroom. So we have a 5-ton unit here that controls 7 zones over here. And we also have a single 2-ton unit that controls just the wall mount above it. So the 5-ton does control some ceiling cassettes, some ducted versions, and I'll get into all that. Let's start off with the 1-to-1 2-ton. We'll go ahead and fire it up. Let's see what mode we are in here. We're going to change our mode to cooling. And it is set to 70. So the outdoor unit just turned on. And the compressor is running. So you might be able to hear that. Very, very quiet. The indoor unit is blowing cold air already. And the louvers are on oscillating, so they are going up and down. And keep in mind, this unit is inside of a building and has walls next to it where it would echo some of the noise. If you have this unit sitting outside, you wouldn't hear anything. Let's see, so it's starting to ramp up a little. Very quiet product. It'll keep ramping and ramping, but it does not get very loud. So let's move on to the 5-ton. We'll go ahead and turn that off. Now we have a one-way ceiling cassette. These are actually new. Let's go ahead and get this kicked on. So we're going to turn it on. Now I do have an issue with all the remotes being so close. And it is currently in heating, so we're going to change that mode. We're going to put it in cooling. Cooling, and it is set to 66. So we'll turn on that ceiling cassette, and then we'll turn on the ducted. So this thermostat goes to this return air, which goes into a regular ducted system like a conventional system, and then there's supply airs, and then they come out here, here, and 2 more of them are located over there. So we'll go ahead and turn this guy on. Let's see, we're going to go system, cool. We'll drop the temperature. And that guy should turn on. Now the outdoor unit is over there, and so far we still can't hear it. So I can feel airflow here. Barely you could hear a little bit. And we'll go ahead and we'll turn on this one. This is a floor mounted unit. So let's go to on. We're going to go mode, cool, 61 degrees. Now this one, as all of them do, have the ability to change your vane position. So if we want to change it, it will move. See, there's the vane moving. Okay. And these ones also have programming. All that stuff is inside here. Okay, so we'll put that one back. And then how about the ceiling cassette? We'll get the ceiling cassette going. So that one is also on the same remote control, thermostat. And we have our fan speed, so we'll just go fan to, we'll put it on high. Oops, I was already in cool. Go cool. Drop it down. Okay. So now we have the ceiling cassette 4-way, the ceiling cassette 1-way, the ducted, which is a 1.5 ton unit, the ducted, and the floor mount currently running. And let's add in a 5th zone. So we'll add in this one here, which is, now the outdoor unit just started up, and what you're hearing right now is actually airflow. It does this on initial startup, and then it's going to monitor the temp of the air that's coming in the back of it, and it'll actually slow down in a minute, and it'll essentially ramp up as it needs to. And the compressor is running on this. Now remember, this is a 5-ton unit, so this is the biggest residential unit, and it's going to be the loudest. And the indoor fans are slowing down now, or condenser fans, I'm sorry, are slowing down a little bit. The compressor, we'll put the phone down here, so you can barely hear that, but it is running. And like I said, we are still in a confined space, so this unit would be actually outside. Having it in here, we risk the amplified noise that would come with it, but we really wanted to do that so you could see that even in a space like this, indoors, it is that quiet. So we'll add in one more zone here. Let's go ahead and turn this one on. And I have to put the remotes right there because if not, all of them will turn on. And this one is already in cooling. So we got strong air coming out of the ceiling cassette. Now, this one is the GL model wall mount. There's still the designer series, which is also hooked up to that 5-ton. And then there is an FH model. This model here has the dual fins. So one can be pointed down, one can be pointed up, one can oscillate while one stays steady. And it also has the IC function, which essentially reads the room temperatures, and it will purposely throw air to areas of the room that are not maintaining the same temp as the rest of the room. So if you have a wall that's facing west, it's going to purposely throw a little more air toward that wall in order to try to maintain the same temp throughout the room. It will also do other things, like if you're sitting in the room, it won't throw air directly on top of you. This unit also offers like a natural wind type of air throw, so it almost feels like you're outside when it's blowing air, if you do want it to blow on you. So we have essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zones are running right now, and still pretty quiet in here. Now this ceiling cassette, I can hear it blowing a little bit, but we also have the fan speed on high. So if we drop it down to low, it should quiet down a fair amount, which it just did. So now I can barely hear it. Oh, 5 zones running, and the outdoor unit is still rather quiet. And we have a lot of hot discharge air coming out of here, so essentially it is just absorbing the heat from that space, running it through the refrigerant lines, which are in the back, and to the outdoor unit, then the outdoor unit is discharging that hot air outside. Now remember, there's no ducts associated with these systems other than the ducted version. All the rest of these, what happens is you have refrigerant lines that are essentially, you can see it up there, the refrigerant line runs into this indoor unit and then back out and all the way to the outdoor unit. This particular style has what's called a branch box. So behind here there's a branch box where one refrigerant line comes out of the unit and goes into a branch box which converts it into 5 refrigerant lines, so it can control 5 indoor units. So you have no duct loss, which is huge. And you have true zone control per room. So essentially, if you want a room to be 62, one to be 64, one to be 68, 3 to be off, you could do that, which you cannot do that with any type of conventional system. The other thing is 30% conduction loss is normally associated with ductwork. When the hot air goes through a duct, by the time it gets into the home, you've lost about 30%. Same thing for cooling, especially if you have ducts that are in an attic. So taking the ducts out of the equation greatly increases your efficiency. Now these units come 19 SEER, but keep in mind when they rate these units, they are actually locked out in 1 speed with all zones calling. When this particular unit is a 60,000 BTU outdoor unit condenser, and it can run on as little as one 6,000 BTU unit. But that unit can actually ramp down to about probably 22 or 2400 BTU. So about 4% of its capacity, roughly. The outdoor compressor, which is what's inside there, on a traditional system, is either off or on, 100%. This one can ramp all the way down to about 4% of its capacity and all the way up to about 110% of its capacity. So very similar to the gas pedal on a car. Now, we also have here some of the track. So this is what you would see on the outside of the house. Now this track here would cover, like if we went into an attic and we had an outdoor unit that was multiple zones and we needed to hide 3-4 refrigerant lines, then we'll go in the big one. Most of the time you're going to see something like this. And this application here would be if we went, you had a window on the inside of the house and you wanted it centered in the window. On the outside, we'd pop out, go around the window frame, and then down and either to the ground or underneath the house. And same with here. This one here just has a sweeping 90. This is the one we really try to do, which is just straight down. I purposely purchased this size track because it's the same size as gutter, and the eyes are trained to see gutter. So we put that size track in because it's a lot less obvious on a home. Now, you can also paint it, and once painted, it really, really disappears. We could see it here, obviously, as we're standing real close to it, but once you're about 30 feet away, which is about what somebody would probably be driving down the road or walking by your house, that track is pretty well hidden. Now, the ducted version, so those of you that just say, well, we can't get over the wall mount, which, that happens. It happens. Customers tell me, the wall mount is too much. Most of them, once they understand the technology and we put them in, get used to them, and within a few weeks, they're not a problem. But for those that can't, we do run the ducted version. So once in a while, we'll put these in, and it is essentially just an air handler like you would on a regular ducted system. Now, you lose the ability to have zone control of each room. So let's say this was covering, let's say those 4 supplies right there were going to 4 different rooms, and then the return air was in a hallway somewhere. You would have one zone off this thermostat would cover 4 rooms. And then you may have like a ceiling cassette in your great room or something like that, which then essentially breaks your house up into, say, 2 zones. So that would be good for like a 3-bedroom home with 2 baths. We would cover on 1 zone, ducted, and then we'd do like a ceiling cassette in the great room, or even a ceiling cassette like this, which is it's designed to be put off to the side, and it'll throw air across the room. It's very similar to the way a wall mount works. It's off to the side and throws air across the room, but this one is just recessed in the ceiling. And the plumbing on these, rather than it coming right directly outside, these ones are actually in the attic, and so we could sort of run them to wherever we need to. Placement of the outside unit is something that I get asked about a lot. And you know, because we're not running ductwork and all this other stuff, we're pretty versatile on where we place the outside unit. A lot of times we relocate where the existing equipment is, and we'll put it somewhere else. And that's normally not a problem. We could put it on a pad. We could set it up on, they make a bracket that sets up about yay high, and so it comes up, it sits on the bracket and goes back down, and you could set it up on that, or we can hang it off the side of the building. It does heat. They heat and cool, so we do try to keep it out of the snow, obviously. Most of the time we are underneath a deck or under an overhang of some sort. So this video has been going for 17 minutes roughly, and we have still 5 zones calling, and as you can see, the outdoor compressor is still very quiet. Maybe you can hear that. I'm not sure. It's pretty quiet. So it is essentially probably using about 10-15% of its capacity, because it knows it's monitoring the temperature that's going into the top of these units, or in this case for this one right here, which is a ceiling cassette, the return air is right there. So essentially it's monitoring the temperature that's going in there. It knows the temperature that we want it to be, and it's like, well, there's only a 3 or 4 degree split because it's not very hot in here. And so it's not going to ramp up and use more energy than it needs to. Another thing I should cover is filters, because I get asked that a lot. And I'll show you the filters on these things. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. It pulls right out. That is your filter. You wash it in the sink, and then you simply put it back in, and there's a little track right there that it goes in, and I might be able to get it. I'm looking through the camera. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Left-handed through the camera. You could change it with one hand, just in case you're ever handicapped. There you go. You don't got to go looking for a filter at the store. Those are 10-year washable filters. So anytime you need to replace the filter after 10 years, give us a call. We'll get you another one. No problem. These units run off of a simple disconnect. They take 220 volt in, just like a traditional system. However, internally, they convert it to 3-phase, simulated 3-phase electricity, which is a very efficient electricity. And that is how they're able to get a compressor with infinite speeds. Or for some people, I just simply say hundreds of speeds. But Mitsubishi claims infinite speeds. So that is our showroom. Now you can come down here and take a look. We normally do showroom hours from 10 to 3, but always best to give us a call and confirm that you want to come down. You guys can see for yourself how the equipment works, play with the remote controls, listen to the outdoor unit, indoor units, all that good stuff. So thanks for watching.